Welcome to the review of The Bard's Tale. The Bard's Tale was created by Interplay Productions and released in 1986. The game begins in the guild. Here is where you create your party members before you start the game. You have quite a few races to choose from, as well as character classes. Basically, it's like other role-playing games where you have to keep re-rolling until you find the desired attributes. We're going to choose a human hunter as our first character. You'll notice on the left side of the screen, it shows an animation of the character. I'm going to fast forward through the character creation process and show you how you add party members. You'll want to add them in the order in which you want them to appear. Of course, fighters should go first. Our first character is a dwarf paladin, a human hunter, half-elf monk, hobbit bard, elf magician, and a gnome conjurer. After assembling the party, you can begin walking around. You start in a town called Bray. You can also navigate using the mouse. That's a pretty nice feature for a 1986 game. Of course, I found it kind of tedious and problematic. No role-playing game is complete without ye old shop, and here the guy's name is Garth. What does that remind you of? Wayne's World? Yeah, me too. Well, anyway, here you can see that there's different weapons and armor you can buy. And notice the halberd. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but obviously it should be halberd, E-R-D instead of A-R-D. If the person shopping is not allowed to use an item because of their class, it'll show a little @ symbol next to it. Once you purchase your equipment, you can equip it by looking at your characters. In order to save the game, you have to journey back to the guild and leave the game. Bard's Tale also has Taverns and Ends. You can order a drink or you can ask the barkeep for some advice. A lot of times you tip them and you get pretty lousy advice. Another cool feature is the game has a night mode where you can see the sky turns black. It makes it where you can't get into buildings such as the guild or Garth's shop. I like how combat works in Bard's Tale. It's pretty simple. On the left side it shows the frontmost group of enemies, and the bottom of course always shows your characters. And on the right side it says what happens during combat. The first 3 characters in the party can attack with melee weapons. The rest have to either use an item, cast a spell, or play a bard song. If there's more than one group, you get to choose the target. Monsters can also cast spells. The really dangerous ones are the ones that can hit an area, such as the sorcerers. There's also dangerous casters which can wither you, which makes your characters turn old and all their attributes go to level 1. And some monsters have special abilities, such as dragons being able to breathe on the party. And now for a quick rundown of some of the monsters you may experience in the game. After defeating monsters, you get treasure, you get experience and gold, and sometimes you'll find items. As you fight more difficult monsters, the treasure begins to show itself in treasure chests, and they're almost always armed. You can have a rogue or a bard try to disarm it, or you can cast the Trap Zap spell, which is a conjurer spell. Sometimes you can just guess the trap even though your examination failed, and you'll still disarm it. You can end up setting off a trap too. There's all kinds of death hazards in the game. Here's just a few deaths. Luckily there's temples that you can go to heal. It's pretty pricey, especially in the beginning. But eventually you'll start gaining your own healing spells. This one's Word of Healing. It doesn't heal too many hit points, but it's better than nothing. Eventually you could end up getting poisoned too, which is terrible. If you have the Flesh Restore spell, it can remove the poisoning. A really great place is Roscoe's Energy Emporium. It allows you to get your spell points back. This is a role-playing game, so that of course means that every character can level up. In Bardsdale, there's a review board that you go to for advancement. If you have enough experience points, you increase one attribute and one level. The attribute increase seems to be pretty random. After you reach a certain level, you're faced with a copy protection. Of course, thanks to the internet, it makes it quite easy to get past this. Interestingly enough, you don't have to pay for increasing in level, but you do have to pay when you're trying to acquire new spells. To get the second level spells, it costs 1,000 gold, 4,000 gold for level 4, level 5, 7,000 gold. Talk about a bureaucracy. Characters, of course, get stronger by leveling up. Most of the fighting type classes can get extra attacks once they level up. Monks have a special ability where their armor class decreases by 1 every level. Hunters have a special ability where they can do critical hits, which kills an enemy outright no matter how many hit points they have. This means the hunters don't get multiple attacks, but it's a great trade-off.